Good morning, everyone. The title of my talk today is The Science of Synesthesia, When Senses Collide. I want to take you on a journey into the incredible world of the human brain. This is a place where reality is not always what it seems. Imagine for a moment that you can taste colors, you can hear shapes, or you could see ordinary numbers in vibrant shades of red, blue, orange, and green. For some people, they don't have to imagine this because it's their everyday reality. This fascinating condition is called synesthesia, and it offers us a window into the extraordinary ways our brains perceive the world. The term itself comes from ancient Greek. There are two components to it. The first part is syn, which means together, and aesthesis, the second part, which means sensation. So what exactly is synesthesia? Essentially, synesthesia is a neurological condition in which the stimulation of one sensory pathway leads to involuntary experiences in the other. In other words, for people with synesthesia, sensory information doesn't always stay in its designated lane. A sound might trigger a color, for example. A number might have a personality, or a word might taste like chocolate or anything else. Scientists estimate that around 4% of the population experiences some form of synesthesia, although many go through life without realizing that the perceptions they have are unique. The most common form of the condition is called grapheme color synesthesia. And that means that letters and numbers are associated with specific colors. So a synesthete with this particular condition might always see the letter A as red. They would see the letter B as blue, or the letter C as yellow, regardless of the actual color in which the letters are printed. It's quite amazing. Other people experience a phenomenon called chromesthesia, where sounds such as musical notes or voices, evoke bursts of color in their vision. So imagine listening to your favorite song and seeing a swirling display of hues and patterns dancing before your eyes. It's amazing, and it's a natural form of sensory art. So in my case, for example, it's referred to as lexical-gustatory synesthesia. And that basically means that words have flavors. Ever since I was a child, I've always had the experience that many words, although not all, have certain flavor concepts or ideas associated with them. I don't taste them on my tongue, but I definitely have the flavors in mind. It's automatic, it's unconscious, and the specific flavor ideas that come up in the mind have never changed throughout my life. In fact, as far as I know, one method of testing for synesthesia involves asking the research subject to describe their associations on several different occasions over long periods of time. So this could be weeks, months, or even years in between testing sessions. That way, the researcher can identify a pattern of consistency and detect whether the subject is recalling those exact same authentic associations, which of course have never changed, or they're trying to invent them on the spot from their imagination. So right now, I will give you a few personal examples, but they're sometimes very hard to put accurately into words. The word experience, for instance, has a somewhat fruity flavor concept. But I should note that it's also not particularly juicy. Group, the word group, is also a fruity flavored word, but it has more juice. The words swirl, twirl, and world have something more like a chocolatey and nutty flavor. A couple more examples. Port and Portugal have what I think of as a savory, umami flavor. Usual or usually is sort of like licorice mixed with cinnamon, as far as I can tell. Israel, the country Israel, is associated with carbonated water, even though that doesn't have much of a taste. Carbonated water or seltzer water. Sample and example are always apple flavored. Don't ask me why. Some of these also venture in a more bizarre direction, such as evoke, invoke, and vocation to a lesser extent. Those three words, to me, recall phlegm or mucus in the throat for some odd reason. I don't know why. And some are actually pretty straightforward, like condition, which reminds me of the scent of hair conditioner. Or another one is alpha, beta, and alphabet. Those three recall the idea of the flavor of alphabet soup. Mark and marker. Those two sort of smell, or maybe taste, if you will, like markers. Researchers believe that in many cases, these associations are formed during childhood. So the tastes are often things that a person ate for the first time when they were very young. A good example of that is the word favor and favorite. Favor and favorite, for me, bring up the memory of the taste of Lifesavers candy. But many of them really make no sense at all. None at all. For example, why does information taste like something that I could only describe as mayonnaise? Or why are able, disable, and capable, those three words, why are those words, why do they have a salty tomato soup flavor? Why do the words expect and separate have a minty gum flavor? Why does the word occur taste like avocado? Why are resource and produce a pine tree? Why is necessary like peanut butter? Why do cause and because have a banana flavor? Why are encourage and privilege like cream cheese? I could probably list these all day, but I'm going to spare you the boredom of that because every person with some kind of synesthesia is going to have very different associations that are specific to him or her. So, what causes this unusual blending of the senses? A lot of scientists believe that synesthesia arises from increased connectivity between different regions of the brain, particularly in the sensory processing areas. So normally our senses operate independently, but in synesthetes there appears to be a form of cross-wiring, if you will, that allows information to flow between areas that would typically remain separate. Some researchers have suggested that this phenomenon is a result of neurodevelopmental differences that occur during early brain formation. Others have proposed that all humans are born with these connections, but most of us lose them as we grow, while synesthetes retain them into adulthood. One of the more fascinating aspects of synesthesia, this condition, is that it often runs in families. So that might suggest a genetic component. Studies have identified, for example, certain genetic markers that might contribute to the condition, but the exact mechanisms remain unclear. What we do know is that synesthesia is not a disorder. It's a unique way of perceiving the world that enhances creativity, memory, and cognitive abilities. In fact, many artists, musicians, and writers have reported experiencing synesthesia. And then it's interesting because they then use that condition or that specific experience as a source of inspiration in their work. So, for example, there are many famous synesthetes. A couple of them are people like the composer Franz Liszt, who apparently instructed his musicians to play notes in bluer or redder tones. And the painter Vasily Kandinsky, he's another one. He saw colors and shapes when listening to music. Then you also have people like in the scientific fields, people like Richard Feynman and Nikola Tesla. They both were synesthetes. A few more contemporary synesthete artists include people you have probably heard of, like Billie Eilish, Pharrell Williams, Lady Gaga, Duke Ellington, and Tom York from Radiohead. So you have probably seen or heard of people who have synesthesia, but most people don't think about it. Synesthesia also offers insights into how the human brain processes sensory information and forms associations. Some researchers believe that studying this condition, synesthesia, could help us better understand other conditions like autism, where sensory processing is often altered. If they do this type of research, it could even lead to new ways of enhancing learning and memory. So imagine if we could train our brains to form stronger connections between our senses. If we could do this in some sort of scientific or methodical way, maybe this could improve education. It could have benefits for creativity. It might even help us improve problem-solving skills. And personally, I think it would be particularly interesting to study how synesthesia manifests itself in different languages, and also across languages or in multilingual people, if that does occur. So, although synesthesia remains a mystery in many ways, one thing is pretty clear. It challenges our conventional understanding of perception. It reminds us that reality is not fixed, but rather shaped by the incredible complexity of our minds. If nothing else, synesthesia teaches us that the human experience is far more diverse and fascinating than we often realize. So, the next time you listen to a song, see a number, read a book, or taste something interesting, take a moment to imagine how different the world might be if your senses were intertwined in unexpected ways. It can present itself to varying degrees of intensity, and again, it depends on the individual. So who knows? Perhaps some of you here today might realize that you too experience a hidden form of synesthesia, one that makes your perception of the world uniquely yours. Thank you.